The AP poll is upon us, generated by Flex Power. I have it in my hand right now. We have some movement. Some teams are moving. Some teams are moving a little close to where the commissioner's poll already had them. But I digress. Let's take a look. Number 25 is Nebraska, and number 24 is Cincinnati. Now, where have I heard that before? Cincinnati, let me remind you, lost to Nebraska head-to-head on a neutral field in week 1, and yet the AP has taken a line from the commissioner's poll, and they have put Cincinnati ahead of Nebraska. Why? Well, because the deeper you get into the season, obviously, the more filled out the resume becomes. And the body of work includes so many data points that you got more to go on than just head-to-head, although head-to-head is still important. So I actually agree with Cincinnati being ahead of Nebraska, albeit slightly. I'm okay with it, surprisingly. Utah 23, Memphis 22. Okay, Texas is at 21. I just want you to earmark that. 2-loss Texas is at 21. Very impressive win yesterday. We'll come back to that. USC is number 20, ahead of their showdown on the road against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's at 13, by the way. USF jumped 5 spots. We already had them up a little higher than the AP did, so the commissioner's poll agrees with this. USF was at one point, I think, -3 turnovers the other night and still just dump trucked North Texas on the road. Alex Golish, by the way, as these jobs start opening up, make sure you have his number. I know everyone wants to look far and wide, and you want the flashy name, and frankly, Alex Golish is a little flashy. I don't think he's all that flashy a person, nor does he try to be, but, I mean, they hung 63 in Denton. In Denton, how many of you could say that? You think Ohio State's ever gone into North Texas and done that? I think not. Vandy is Virginia's 18. Vandy is 17. That is still too low. Vanderbilt is still too low. We will be there. Fall don't lie to her. At a Vandy game, second year in a row this Saturday. Missouri's at 16. They only dropped 2 spots, which I'm okay with. If you have Bama ranked where they're ranked, and Missouri lost to them, they shouldn't drop that much. All right, here we go. Brigham Young is 15th. They're undefeated. And everyone's trying to figure out, where do we put them? They don't have a high-quality win, but yet they've won all the games they've played. 15th is about right to me. That's maybe where the commissioner's poll even will have them. I do need to bump Brigham Young up a little bit. I doubted them last night. I thought they'd lose to Arizona. They did not. I can't predict that, obviously, so I have to wait till the game happens to react to it. Oklahoma dropped 8 spots. And here's Notre Dame at 13th. So I want to talk to you for a second. Notre Dame 13, Texas 21. They're both 2-loss teams. Does it make sense to you that Notre Dame is that much higher than Texas? Because I was looking at it. Texas beat Oklahoma yesterday. That's a way higher quality win than Notre Dame has. So Texas has the way better win. They both have 2 losses. I think that Notre Dame having the P4 wins is floating their boat a little higher because they've got wins, but it's Purdue, it's NC State, it's Arkansas. So I guess it just kind of comes down to what you believe in more, what you value more. But I'll tell you what I think people are really doing, which you're not supposed to do, and the commissioner's poll certainly wouldn't do. I think people are projecting with their Notre Dame ranking. I think people believe Notre Dame's gotten its act together. For the record, I do as well. But that doesn't matter. They'll play the games and they'll prove it. So people think Notre Dame's gotten its act together, and since they had Notre Dame top 10 preseason, and they believe Notre Dame's gotten its act together, they think Notre Dame has reverted to the form they thought they were going to be in the preseason, which means they're ranking them a lot more in line with what they think they are moving forward. Hey, wait just a second. I appreciate you guys watching. Most of you are subscribed. If you're not, please do so. It's free. It helps us keep the show free, and that's how we do college football year-round. All right, back to the video, which I've got a problem with because that is predictive. That's called power ratings, but that's not what this claims to be. This claims to be rankings. So Notre Dame at 13 is a little strange to me. Georgia Tech's at 12. Tennessee is at 11. LSU's in the top 10, and I'm keeping my eye peeled on LSU because out of all these teams, like I think LSU may have a higher ceiling than Georgia. Higher ceiling. Now that assumes that maybe one day Garrett Nussmeier is going to be all the way fully healthy. Get Aaron Anderson back at wide receiver. Get your ground game going enough. There may be a little higher potential about that LSU team because they play better defense. They have a more dynamic, more athletic defense. So there is a potentially great aspect to that LSU team. They're at 10 right now. I'm okay with that. Georgia's at 9. I'm okay with that. Oregon dropped to 8. They dropped 5 spots. You always wonder if you're ranking, if you're a pollster, if you're filling out a ballot, or you got Oregon at 8. Penn State clearly is not ranked. Oregon's best win is over Penn State. How do you look at that game? Because I look at games, and the way I rank teams is I try and crystallize the value of a game when it happens. And very rarely do I like to reassignate value or remove value all that much. Here's why. Penn State's a disaster now. I can't know for sure how big an impact Oregon had on Penn State, but I think it's a ton. So my point there is Oregon goes and they beat Penn State. Penn State's season goes off the rails. Penn State looks terrible, and it devalues the Oregon win over Penn State more and more. The way I look at that is, why should I remove credit from Oregon for something they're responsible for? Because what I think happened is Penn State loses to Oregon, and that's the reason they go to UCLA and lose, and that's the reason they're terrible against Northwestern. And there's no way to prove that for sure, but I'm careful dropping Oregon. I'll drop them because they lost a game against Indiana, but I'm also not doing that thing where I'm retroactively removing value from a win that I still think is pretty high caliber. That's what I'm not doing. I don't know how many voters are doing that. Texas Tech is at 7. Bama is at 6. Ole Miss, A&M, Indiana, Miami, and Ohio. That is your top 5 in descending order. Ohio State number 1, as they should be. If you want to go better body of work, probably Miami would be ahead of them. You could probably make a case for Indiana as well. I mean, they do have a better win. Yes, they do have a better win. I saw a lot of people thinking Indiana may be number 1. That was never going to happen. But if you wanted to argue it, okay, Indiana's up. That's the highest I think they've ever been ranked, by the way. I thought I heard 4th was the highest they've ever been ranked. Look, I got to give it AP credit. They have started to get their act together. I think in the aggregate, they have started to pay way more attention to this stuff, because a lot of them had their trees shaken earlier in the season, and they don't want to be caught not paying attention, and that's not a bad thing. That is a very good thing. As is the fact that you can go over to FanDuel right now. I don't think you can bet on the AP poll. I don't think we do that quite yet. But I do want to tell you that pretty much anything else that exists under the sporting sun you can bet on. Now, as you know, or maybe you're new around here and you don't know, when we started the show, we went a long time without a betting partner. We had overtures, but we just declined. When we met with FanDuel 2 years ago, we heard the pitch again, and I use FanDuel. Mike, I personally have bet for a long time, but I was hesitant to let a betting partner come on the show. Here's why. I wanted to do what are called RG reads pretty frequently, responsible gaming reads. And most partners said no. FanDuel, their tune was totally different. That is why they're a partner of ours. That's the only reason I would ever partner with FanDuel. And not only did they embrace it, they actually said, you know what we're working on? We're working on tools that we actually want you to promote. So the responsible gaming part of this is important to me because I have watched the downside of what gambling addiction can do to people. And so I have taken it upon myself, since this is my show, to make sure every now and then we weave in reminders to back away if this is getting a little out of control for you. To put another way, if you have any doubt that you can afford or not afford to bet on a game, you can't afford to bet on that game. You cannot be betting money that you can't afford to lose on games. Shouldn't do it. Every bit as dangerous and addictive as anything else that you always get warned about. So on this show occasionally, I want to remind you, just step away if you need to step away. You can have a MAC game on a Tuesday night without you having $10 on it. That's okay. It will go on. You will go on. It'll be fine. But at FanDuel, they have several responsible gaming type tools to help you out. One of them is the Know Your Play tool. And I would encourage you, if you go to FanDuel, find that section, find the Know Your Play section there. There are tons of tools there that work in conjunction with responsible gaming, if you will utilize them, that helps you basically make sure to set your parameters and then remind you when you're close to them or you're exceeding them. And it's a really good fail-safe. Again, you got to use them. If you don't use them, they don't work. So I credit FanDuel for doing that. They've been very proactive on that front. And they give us carte blanche. I mean, that's what the paper said FanDuel.